everybody. I am sure that with the what I'm seeing in terms of my signal, I am probably blurry. I don't understand Fridays. Everybody's at home and everybody's getting ridiculously busy on Netflix. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go straight into the top 5, right? So let's go right into the top 5. Let's hope that this thing gets a little bit better, shall we? I'm just gonna hope. Just gonna hope and hope and hope. Because there's too much I want to do tonight. Doggone it. Too much. Of course there's no sound. Why would there be sound? Why would I want sound? Ugh. No, we're not gonna do it again. Why would I do it again? No. There's so much to do. There's so much to do. So much fun to have tonight. Good grief. How can I make this better? I don't know if this is gonna be any better. I won't know until I see it change. This might be the best that we get tonight, everybody, with the signal going on. Oh, it's quite unfortunate. Yep, that's not any better. I'm watching that. Yuck. I'm sorry, everybody. Oh, man. It's like dial up all over again. Ugh, I'm gonna have to fix that and figure it out. Anyways, hi everybody. How you doing? Happy Friday. A lot going on today. A lot going on this weekend. Very, very excited for tonight. A lot going on tonight. First thing that's going on is me hitting this damn gavel. Court's in session. Second thing, we're going to do a couple of, we're going to catch up, obviously. We're going to do a little bit of Florida Man. Then we're going to hop into our trivia night. I'm very excited about this trivia night for so many reasons. It is the biggest trivia night that we've had so far. And that wouldn't be that impressive. However, we have had like 5 or 6 of them. So, oh, hold on. Hold up. Birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Queen Olive Ruth Ann. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday! That's exciting. Don't go crazy on your 21st. You can get a little wild, a little crazy, a little wild, a little wild, a little crazy. Yeah, so in terms of I took kind of a left turn. It still sounds for trivia, but it's something a little bit different. And you'll see what I mean in just a little bit, I think. But how's everybody doing? How is everybody doing? I want to know. I want to know what love is. Let me know. I see a lot of hello hands. Is Slick in here? Slick's in here? Look, Slick is in here. Shit. What's up, Slick? All 3 codes, and hopefully a 4th one eventually. Oh, Jody, I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh, good grief. Oh, man. Oh. Don't like the way things are going. Oh, boy. I am very sorry it is blurry. I cannot control my own signal, apparently. I'm going to have to start running a cable or fix it or find some way. I need to talk to my father-in-law about what we can do about this. Technically, I'm kind of right over it, but... Well, that sounds lovely. Oh man. Oh, good grief. Oh no. I heard some things went sideways, but also funny. Hello, Miss Linda. Glad it is Friday. You are right. I know. I am very well aware. Oh, that sounds fun. That sounds cool. I love playing guitar. I just don't ever have a chance. Not very often, anyways. Oh no. Well, in that case, I'd probably go and eat it, all of it. Eat all of it, all the things. Jaded, hello, hello. Brang the quiz. I'm gonna wait for a couple more people to come in. I know that there are some folks over with RA, so I'm not quite sure. Does anybody know when RA wraps up, or is it something that goes a little longer than 9? I don't want to like pull anybody. Okay, Kelly, you said 6. I'm guessing that's 6 Pacific. 5 more minutes. Cool. 5 more minutes I can do. You just have to deal with blurry JT for 5 more minutes. Before my camera goes a little smaller. Oh, Ugly Betty's in here. Wow, Mrs. Brooks Crime loves that show. Ugly Betty. She does. She does. Hello, Tommy. Um, that's not how that works. Oh man, it is definitely the biggest quiz that we've had in terms of points. So it is the last quiz of the month. So that's what we're doing. Good evening. Do 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 do. All right. So while we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and do something else, shall we? Pull that away for right now. And let's go into this. Oh man, so some of the craziest Florida man stories that have happened. I know we've covered a couple of them, just a few, but there comes a time in which you need to, if you have plenty of time to dispose of something, you should. And I feel like this is the perfect place. But a Florida man was stuck inside of a porta potty, and he was arrested on drug charges in Collier County. And they found him. The deputies found him screaming for help. Probably would too. But according to the news, WBBH, James Gauss, 34, was found by a deputy with a foot sticking out of the bottom part of a porta potty. The station reported when the deputy opened the bathroom door, they found a powdery substance in a bag that later tested positive for fentanyl, along with a syringe. Sir, not the place. It is not. It is not. Not. No. Not sanitary. Like I maybe he just got stuck. Not sure. But that really stinks. Pun intended. What a crappy situation. The second one is after police chase Florida. Well, let's talk about this. In an early appearance, a Florida woman on the list. This person was able to cross something off her bucket list in May, and she now has this mugshot to prove it. According to deputies, she was driving in Monroe County around 7:45 a.m. that day when a deputy tried to pull her over. But she continued driving, because that's what you do when they light you up. She eventually stopped and was taken into custody, telling authorities that, quote, getting arrested had been on her bucket list since high school. So she was charged with fleeing and eluding. What happened? How is this a thing? How is this a thing? Oh, good grief. If you think the porta potty one was scary, um there's a great story out of there's a great story northwest of Seattle. That let's cover this real quick because it's totally worth it. But first, congratulations, 5 months. Thank you for being here. And thanks for being. Oh man, thanks for being. Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. All right, so here it is. This is Mount Walker in Olympic National Forest, Washington. A woman who accidentally dropped her cell phone into the hole of an outhouse in a national forest and fell in while trying to retrieve it had to be rescued by firefighters. Nope. Nope. Brennan Fire Department Chief Tim Manley said that the woman who was at the top of Mount Walker in the Olympic National Forest northwest of Seattle had been using her phone when it fell into the toilet on Tuesday. Manley said she disassembled the toilet seat and used dog leashes to try and get the phone, and eventually used the leashes to tie herself off as she reached for it. This ain't the lasso of truth, ma'am. That effort failed. It failed. And she fell into the toilet head first. Head first. Not feet first. Not butt first. Head first into the outhouse. Manley, the fire department chief, very, very smart Captain Obvious comment. They didn't work very well, and she went in. Yes, that is indeed how this works. The woman was alone and tried to get out for 10 to 15 minutes. But she was reunited with her phone and called 911. Responding firefighters passed her blocks to stand on to reach a harness. How deep is this outhouse hole? Holy criminy. She was washed down and was, quote, strongly encouraged to seek medical attention after being exposed to human waste. But she only wanted to leave. I don't entirely blame her, but the fire chief says, I've been doing this for 40 years, and that was a first. Oh, Washington, whoa, man. Good grief. All right, let's go back to St. Pete, shall we? A man was arrested on a felony charge after felony charge, really? Authorities say he threw a hot dog at an officer in July. Arrest documents say that Jason, 47, was being warned of violating a city ordinance by an officer. Officer said he ignored the warning. And he continued to sell hot dogs in a road after his street closure permit ended. So he had a permit, but it ended. Stoll was asked to put the hot dogs down. Sir, put the hot dogs down. Put the wrapped meat tubes down. But continued his attempts to sell it before becoming upset and intentionally throwing the hot dog at the officer, according to documents. He was charged with battery on a law enforcement officer and resisting an officer without violence. Oh boy, boy. Oh, I think I've done that one before. That's just frightening. That's stupid. Well, that's your Florida man. You know what? That's as far as we're gonna go. Let go of the wiener, sir. Let go. He's lucky they didn't charge him with public indecency. That's insane. That's insane. That's way too. Nope. 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 Yep. A full crying shower after just be in a shower. Just Really? How did it happen often? Oh, after they handed it to you? That's messed up. Give it to you in like a baggie or something. I don't care if they washed it off. That is gross. Absolutely gross. I don't know. Might have been. Could have been. It'd be weird if his name was Oscar Mayer. Buy phone insurance. Buy it. Better bring the industrial degreaser. How long? It said she was in there for a while. She called, right? How long do you think it was before they were able to kind of compose themselves before they decided to help her out? Hmm? Hmm? All right, I am going to put out real quick. Night court trivia starts now. Only fair. It's only fair. While we're at it, happy International Podcast Day. Shireen let me know that was today. You'd think that I'd know when International Podcast Day was. Appropriately so, if you didn't hear, 13th Juror cracked the top 200 on Apple Podcasts US true crime list or charts. We hit 180, which is awesome, and that's thanks to you all, and that's thanks to you downloading, subscribing, rating, reviewing. We really appreciate that a lot. Brandi is working on the 3rd episode of Conspiracy in Canton, and that will be released as soon as she's done with it. She basically gives it to me ready to go, and uploading and putting together the title and everything, and boom, done, which is just awesome. She does such a good job. It's amazing to think that back in April she was just like, what's the any key? That's not true. She wasn't that at all. That sounds terrible. But I'm excited for that success. We cracked. I remember when we were pushing for 10,000, we just cracked 17,000, which is insane. Insane in the membrane. So for International Podcast Day, all I ask is that you support your indie podcasts. Just, they work real hard for absolutely nothing. I can tell you that right now. I've made literally nothing in 5 years on podcasting side. Just doesn't happen. Not even with ads, because the ad revenue ends up going towards your host fee. So give them a listen, a like, a subscribe. There's plenty out there. If you have questions, if you have a genre and you want suggestions, or a type of true crime podcast and you want suggestions, I am more than happy to suggest them. Yes, Eric did just announce that today. Eric Carter Landine, who was a guest on this show, if you check the exclusive interviews playlist, he just broke 1 million downloads, which is amazing. Does download literally mean download? No. Really, at this point, I think download also includes streams, because I also don't necessarily download them to my phone. That is a very, very good question, though. I'll have to look that up, actually. But I'm pretty sure that it also includes streaming. Great. I've never been asked that question, and I've never looked it up. Again, you'd think that I would have. Nan, either you're a little further back or you're just asking now. I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot. A lot. A lot. It's do they really? I've never done that before. Maybe that's what's wrong. Maybe that's what's wrong. I'll have to look into it. That's a good point. I don't know. I'll look it up and hopefully have an answer for you on Monday, provided I remember to look it up. All right. Man, I'm so ready for this. We have a new intro. For Night Court Quiz Party. And the theme song has been created by three of my most favorite fellas from Yorkshire. And they are part of the podcast Killer Rabbit. And in the past, when they did their first rendition of Killer Rabbit podcast, every single week they'd do a quiz, and they had this theme song. And I asked him, can I use it? And he said yes. And I'm very excited about it. And this is the song where you will either laugh hysterically or you'll kick my butt after the show. One of the two. Oh boy. Here we go.
It's that time of the show again where we like to do a quiz.
I quite like the quiz.
Have a listen to the question and then shout what the answer is.
Okay, I get it.
It's your chance to show us that you're smart.
I am very smart.
Time of the show again. Show us this, well at least you've played a part.
That's okay.
It's like watching pointless or going on the chase. So just sit back and relax and let us quiz on your face.
Oh no, I don't like the sound of that.
Quiz on your face.
Oh no, come on, please no.
Quiz on your face.
Stop that. Stop it. Stop it.
Quiz on your face.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Like I said, you would either love me or kick my butt after the show. It's one of the two. One of the two. Oh, man. Was there a lot of flashing lights? All right. And somebody's asking, Julie, I think it was you. Here's a little longer.
I realize it's all my fault, but couldn't tell you yesterday. You'd forgiven me, but it'll still be 2 days till I say I'm sorry.
That's it. That's what you got for number one. All right, let's hop into the Joel Guy trial, shall we? Apparently, my service has decided to be what it is tonight. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Virginia Little, thank you very much for gifting a membership. I appreciate it. And Lisa picked it up. Would you
are
look
tearing
at
me
that?
apart, Lisa!
Boom. I don't know. He saw it in a movie once. Oh, look at this guy. We sure missed him, didn't we? All right. So we are going to... Give me 1 second here. Just opening up my email for a second. There we go. All right, so the witnesses that we're going to see tonight, we're going to see Robin White, who is Joel Guy Sr.'s sister. That's Joel's father's sister. Angela Crane, who is Joel Guy Sr.'s daughter. Renee Charles, who's Joel Guy Sr.'s sister. And I'll announce them as we go. Okay. And that's thanks to Shireen, who did the work on that one for me. So thank you. I thought so too. Wasn't it a perfect place? Yes. All right. Here we go. Maybe.
Subjects to their future plans to move and to relocate and that sort of thing. So, and for the record, we introduced a printout of the PowerPoint just for identification only.
Oh, I call your first witness on that matter.
Robin?
With the court's permission, Mr. Harwell, we are doing that.
Very well. Hello, Mr. Harlow. Please raise your right hand.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Have a seat. Once you're seated, you may remove your mask.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
Robin White.
Are you related to Joel Guy Sr.?
Yes, he's my brother.
And is the defendant your nephew?
Yep.
Yes.
And did you know Lisa Guy also?
Yes, she was like my sister.
All right. I want to direct your attention to the time period around Thanksgiving, just before Thanksgiving of 2016, and ask you if either your brother made any statements to you about his future plans regarding the support of his son, Joel Michael.
Yes. My brother had stated to me that he was retiring and moving up, and he had cut his son off from any money, anything. He was tired of keeping him up. And Lisa was fixing to move in the family home, and Lisa was fixing to cut him off when come Christmas when he was supposed to come in. But he came in for Thanksgiving instead.
Okay. Thank you. Pass the witness.
I just want to let you know that that's me as Brandi. It's the only way that I can pin a message to the top.
Just very briefly, so I understand your testimony is as to your brother. He stated that he had already cut off his son. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And as to your sister-in-law, she told you she was planning to cut him off at Christmas. Is that right?
Yes.
And the conversations that you had, let me ask this, the conversation you had with your brother, was your nephew part of that conversation?
No, he was not there.
Okay. The conversation you had with your sister-in-law, was your nephew a party to that conversation?
Yes. It was all about cutting him off. Yes.
Okay. That was a bad question. Let me ask again. When you talked to your sister-in-law about your nephew, did your nephew hear that conversation while it was going on?
No, he wasn't there.
Okay. That's all I was asking. Thank you. One second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Just to clarify, as to Ms. Guy, your sister-in-law, did you have a conversation with her yourself, or did your brother tell you about your sister-in-law's plan?
No, I talked to her about it too.
Okay. And a conversation with her is when she said she was planning to cut him off at Thanksgiving?
Yes.
I mean, at
Tennessee.
Christmas?
At Christmas, yes.
Thank you.
Angela Crane.
What?
Approach judge.
All right, so we've established that he knew they were going to cut him off.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony I'm about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Let me have a seat. Once you're seated, you may remove your mask.
State your name for the record, please.
Angela Crane.
You're going to have to speak up into the microphone.
Sorry, Angela Crane.
Okay, can you pull the microphone close to you? And are you Joel Geis Sr.'s daughter?
Yes.
And you're the defendant's half-sister?
Yes.
And did you have any conversations in shortly before Thanksgiving holiday, shortly before their deaths, about your father's intention to stop providing support for your brother?
Yes.
And what did he say?
I mean, he said that Joe Michael was going to be cut off and going to have to stand on his own 2 feet.
Okay. Did you have any conversations with Lisa Guy about this?
Yes.
And what were those? What did she say to you?
She agreed. It was all in the same conversation with Dad and Lisa.
And this happened close in time to their deaths. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Very briefly, Ms. Crane,
Yes,
do you recall when this conversation happened?
stepsister,
Probably October,
I believe.
around the middle, one of my trips back home to Tennessee.
Okay. And I understood you to say this was a single conversation with the two of them.
It's been an ongoing family conversation and knowledge. I know Dad had cut Joe Michael off probably years before, and the only reason why Lisa ever had a job, because she didn't need to work, was to solely take her check and provide it to Joe Michael, so he didn't need to work.
Okay. The conversation that you had, you said you thought was in October.
Yes.
And
That's fine. It just helps me define who they are. They're not blood siblings. Senior had 2 daughters before he got married to Joel Jr.'s mother.
which you repeated statements from both Joel Guy Sr. and Lisa Guy. Just trying to understand, is that a time when there was the 3 of you talking about it together, or did you talk about it with one and then with the other?
3 of us together.
Okay. And did they indicate in those conversations, or in that conversation, the time when Joel Guy Jr. would be cut off?
After they retired and moved back to Sigornsville, moved home.
Okay. And obvious question, but at the time you had the conversation in October with Mr. Guy Sr. and Ms. Guy, Joel Guy Jr. was not present for that conversation.
Correct.
That's all, Your Honor.
No.
Thank you, ma'am. You may sit down.
Renee Charles?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Did you say yes? I'm sorry. All right, please have a seat and you can remove your mask.
Just say yes.
Close to the microphone, please.
State your name for the record.
Renee Charles.
Are you Joel Guy Sr.'s sister?
Yes, ma'am.
And shortly before his death, did he make any statements to you about his intention to stop, for him and his wife to stop supporting your nephew, the defendant?
Yes, the week before.
Okay. And can you tell the judge what he said?
He said that that Joel Michael was coming in Christmas because they wasn't going to do anything for Thanksgiving. He wasn't coming in for Thanksgiving. And they were going to talk to him then about him having to get a job and pay the bills and stuff down there because they were retiring and moving to Scornsville and they wasn't going to have any income.
Was Lisa there when that happened?
Yes.
Okay. Did she make any statements to you about it?
She said she was behind Mike.
Okay.
They were going to tell him.
Thank you. Ask the witness.
Briefly, Ms. Charles, just, and you may have said this, when did this conversation happen?
The week before.
Okay, the week before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they came up to Sigornsville to bring some stuff.
Okay, and when they were in Sigornsville, in that conversation, it was the 3 of you having the conversation?
Yes.
And you said that Mr. Guy Sr. Said that they were going to cut him off.
Yes.
At Christmas, is that right?
They were going to talk to him at Christmas because he wasn't coming in for Thanksgiving.
Okay. So Mr. Guy did not actually say at what point the cutting off would happen, just when the conversation would happen.
Right.
And Ms. Guy was there during
Yes.
the conversation also.
Yes.
And what is it what did she say specifically about
She
her?
said she was behind it, that she was going to talk to him. They were both going to talk to him.
That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Michelle Dennison.
This is like rapid fire. Good grief.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in the case now on trial be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Have a seat, please, and you may raise your hand.
State your name for the record, please.
Michelle Tyler.
And I'm sorry I've been calling you Dennison, but that's And are you Joel Sr.'s daughter
Yes, ma'am.
and the defendant's half sister?
Yes, ma'am.
In the time shortly before their deaths in October, November of 2016, did your father make any statements to you about his intention for him and Lisa to stop providing financial support for the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
Did Lisa make statements like this?
On October the 28th, my youngest birthday, Lisa and Dad did. On Thanksgiving, Dad did.
Okay. And let's talk about that October statement first. Tell us what Lisa said.
They had both said, but Lisa said that Joel Michael was going to have to find a job because they only had a certain amount of money. The retirement they had taken out his pension, and I'm not sure if that's the name of it, but they only had a certain amount to live on, and they would not be able to afford Joel Michael or paying for his apartment.
Okay.
Things like that.
And on Thanksgiving, what did your dad say to you?
You could, there was a little bit of tension. And so when everyone was inside and it was just.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It was just me and Dad and myself. That was bad grammar. It was just me and Dad. We were out on the porch, and he said that Lisa hadn't told Joel Michael, and that you could feel like that was what was causing the little bit of tension inside the house. That you could feel the tension. It was a little bit.
Did he say anything specifically about them withdrawing financial support from your brother?
That's what he said. He had told Joel Michael about the that they had told Joel Michael about him having to get a job or being cut off, but he didn't. I can't remember his correct verbiage, but it wasn't cut off. It's that they couldn't afford to support him any longer.
Okay. Thank you. Pass the witness.
Ms. Tyler, just a few questions to make sure I understand. As to the conversation at Thanksgiving time, you said you and your father were on the porch. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you said your father told you that Ms. Guy had talked to Joel Guy Jr. About stopping funding. Is that right?
That they had talked to Joel Guy Jr.
Okay, so that both Joel Guy Sr. said that he and Ms. Guy had talked to Joel Guy Jr.
That they had made on October the 28th. They had already told him he needed to be looking for a job, and then on Thanksgiving they had, I guess, confirmed it or solidified it. I would.
Okay.
Is solidified a word?
So there's. I'm sorry, I don't mean to ask the same thing again. There's you and your father on the porch. He's telling you about another conversation between him and Ms. Guy and Joel Guy Jr. Is that right?
Yes, between him, all three of them.
Okay. That conversation between the three of them, you were not present for that conversation?
No, sir.
Okay. And the conversation between you and your father, it was just the two of you on the porch. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
That's all, Your Honor.
No.
You missed that now.
Jennifer Whited. I have to bring her from outside the judge.
Just gonna look at this now. You please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, help you God?
I
All right, please have a seat. Once you're seated, you can take your mask off and please speak in the microphone.
State your name for the record.
Jennifer Whited
Where are you employed?
at Jacobs.
What was your relationship with Lisa Guy?
I was Lisa's supervisor.
When did she tell you she was, when did she turn in her notice or let you know she was going to stop working?
She gave me a written notice on November 21st, 2016,
Okay. When was her last day of work?
December 2nd.
Did she make any statements to you? Did you all talk about personal matters to some degree?
We did.
Okay. Did she make any statements to you regarding her intention, her future intention to stop supporting her son?
She did make mention of that. She talked about her and her husband both retiring and moving to the family home and not being able to continue to support.
Okay. And do you know when that conversation took place?
Probably October and November. I mean, we talked just about every day. I made a point to go around and talk to all of my employees, and so we talked.
So you were aware she was going to retire before she turned in her written notice?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. White, as I understand your testimony, you had conversations with Ms. Lisa Guy. She was going to retire and would not be able to continue to support her son. Is that right?
Yes, we did, and have conversations about her intentions of no longer supporting.
Okay. In those conversations, did she indicate to you at what point that support, at what point it was her intention for that support to stop?
She did not say a specific date, but she did say, with them retiring, that she could no longer support him.
Okay. An obvious question, but in the conversation or conversations that you had with Ms. Guy, Joe Guy Jr. Was not present during those conversations.
No, he was not.
And so, thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else with this witness, Jim? Thank you, ma'am. You may sit down. Any other witnesses on this issue?
No, Your Honor.
Good grief.
All right, Mr. Harwell, do you have objections to what we have heard?
Yes, Your Honor, and I think there's two actually very distinct legal issues. I'll try to address both of them. The first relates to the testimony that Lisa Guy or Joel Guy Sr. Had told family members that it was their intention to cut off Joel Guy Jr. Christmas or sometime in the future. The basis of our argument on those is those may arguably fall under 8033, a hearsay exception for state of mind covering intention. The problem on those where it falls short is relevance. I'm surprised sometimes how often issues recur, but as I was thinking about this is the exact same legal situation that Your Honor and I confronted Brandon Donaldson. The issue is, if that is their intention and that is what they're telling other people, that's still not relevant absent any indication that Mr. Guy Jr. overheard that conversation, was aware that that conversation happened. Whether or not Lisa Guy had an intention in her head to cut her son off at Christmas doesn't make anything more likely in the case unless Mr. Guy, the defendant, knew that was her intention. So yes, maybe that is 8033 material, but absent evidence that the defendant knew of it, it hasn't been linked up. So that's the argument as to those set of statements. The other statement that I think is a different legal issue is what Ms. Tyler testified to, which is that when at the time they were on the porch, that her father told her that a conversation had already happened, that Ms. Guy had talked to the defendant and told him that he had been or was about to be cut off. And that one, I think that clearly is a hearsay problem, because now we're not talking about statement of state of mind and of intention. This is Joel Guy Sr. Making a statement to his daughter out of court that the state would be offering for its truth. The state would be offering that to prove that, in fact, Lisa Guy talked to Joel Guy Jr. And told him that he was being cut off. So that seems to me that is just straightforward hearsay, not within an exception, and should be precluded for that reason.
General, before I let you argue, I want to address the first objection as to relevance. Assuming these are proper under 803.3, I do think that they would be relevant toward a possible motive on the defendant's part to be the person who committed these crimes. The notebook that the state intends to introduce indicated some money component, somebody who's an adult being supported by the parents and being cut off from that support could be a potential motive. So I do think that there is relevance that the state can, in fact, establish that. Even I don't think we have to know the defendant actually heard those conversations, that there was an intent that they were going to pretty soon move out of that home and live off their retirement in Sir Goinsville. I think it's all close enough in time to make that relevant. We did hear the testimony from Miss Tyler, and I think Miss White that had already happened. And so even though I don't think that's going to be admissible, I do think that plays into motive. Now to the second part, hearsay. I think most of what I heard was proper 803.3, declaring the declarant's future intention to cut him off. But there were a couple that I noted I don't think would fall. In general, I will hear your argument on this if you disagree with me. But Ms. White said that Mr. Guy said he was retiring and had already cut his son off. I will concede that she should not say that. Yeah. Is she still in here, Ms. Robin White? Ms. White, okay, so this is a very sort of tricky legal issue. Now, what somebody says, and Ms. Tyler, I want you to listen to this too. What somebody says outside of the courtroom is what we call hearsay. And normally that is not allowed to be presented to the jury, but there's some exceptions to that. And one of those exceptions is when somebody declares their intent to do something. Like if I said to Mr. Sanchez, I'm going to go to the mall and watch a movie tonight, then he could come to court and say, Judge Sword told me that day he was going to a movie tonight, because that is an exception to hearsay. You're talking about somebody's future intention. But if I said, hey, Mr. Sanchez, I went to the movies last night, he couldn't say that, because that is a statement of something that had happened in the past, and there's a question on the reliability of that. So, Ms. White, when you say Mr. Guy told you that he had already cut the defendant off, you can't say that in court. That's inadmissible because it's something that's already happened in the past. But then when you say that Lisa Guy said that they were fixing to move into the family home and she was fixing to cut him off too, that's okay, because that's her statement of something that's going to happen, what she's going to do in the future, her intent, her plan of what she's going to do. That stuff's okay. And Ms. Tyler, the same thing with you. You had said that at Thanksgiving when you were out there with your dad, he said that they had already had the conversation with him. That's a past event, so you cannot talk about that. But when you talked about the October 28th conversation with your mom, that he's going to have to find another place, and because they're going to stop supporting him, that's okay as well too. So John, I take it you concede on that as well. Okay, so that's going to be the court's ruling. I think it was just those two that I heard that were past events. Everything else I think was a future plan of the declarant. And so that'll be my ruling. I'm going to overrule the first objection on relevance, and I'm going to overrule it except for those two exceptions as noted. All right. General, who's your first witness? Okay. You think we can do that before lunch? We got 30 minutes. You okay? Yeah. Okay. All right. We've already got the witness stand clean. You ready for the general, the jury? General, you ready, Mr. Halstead? The jurors can go ahead and have a seat. As soon as you get in, y'all can take a seat. All right, everyone, you may be seated. Does the state waive the call, jury?
Yes.
Defense waive the call? Welcome back, folks. Thank you for that recess. I want to point something out to you. When you walk into the courtroom, everybody's standing. That's out of respect for the role that you folks are playing for our community. You may also notice that I'm not standing. It's not because I don't respect you, but the judge represents the law, which is over all of us. So traditionally, the judge doesn't stand. But whenever you come into the courtroom, you can go ahead and immediately take your seats. You don't need to remain standing. It is now time to begin the state's proof. General, if you please call your first witness.
Jennifer Whited.
Ms. White, would you please come forward? You just come up here to the witness stand next to me.
That must have been a voir dire.
You please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in the case now on trial be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, please have a seat, ma'am. Once you're seated, you may remove your mask.
Thank you. State your name for the record, please.
Jennifer Whited.
Where do you work, Ms. Whited?
I work at Jacobs.
What is your position there?
I'm the federal contracts manager.
Did you know Lisa Guy?
I did.
How did you know her?
She was one of my employees.
You were her supervisor?
Correct.
When did she first become employed with Jacobs?
She became a temporary employee with Jacobs in January 2012, and then she became a permanent employee in March 2013.
What was her job description?
She was a disbursement specialist.
What does a disbursement specialist do?
Within that group, we ran payments for Jacobs globally, and she would generate those payment files, review the information within the payment files, and if they were okay to pay, she would go ahead and process those payment batches.
As a full-time employee, did she have benefits with the company?
Yes, she did.
All right. Y'all, you know better. Stay away from any COVID-19 talk. Stay away from any pandemic talk. Stay away from any mask talk and any politics. Healthcare shouldn't be political. End of story. So avoid it. Let's change the topic or come back to focus on the trial. I know this is night court, but we don't get political in here. And we certainly don't talk about the pandemic because nobody can agree. Thank you.
Do you know whether or not she had a life insurance policy?
She did.
And do you know who her beneficiaries were for her life insurance?
I'm not 100% sure what the split was, but it was Joel Sr. and Joel Michael Jr.
Okay. And would you describe it as being work friends? You were friends while you were at work? Is that
correct? Correct.
And as part of your friendship, did Lisa Guy ever express to you her intentions about her future plans for supporting her son?
Whenever we would discuss about her moving to the family home, we did discuss about her intentions with her son.
And what did she say about her future intentions?
About no longer being able to support him because her and Joel Sr. were both retiring.
So you were aware that she was going to move on?
I was aware, yes.
When did she turn in her notice?
She turned in her notice on November 21st, 2016.
Did you discuss her plans to retire before that, though?
Oh, yes, definitely.
All right. And when was her last day at work?
Her last day, her notice should have been December 2nd.
And that would have been a Friday?
Correct.
Right. Can you describe her demeanor? Were you able to observe her demeanor during the time prior to Thanksgiving holiday?
Oh, prior to the Thanksgiving holiday, yep. She was excited, yet a little preoccupied because she had so many things changing in her life. But she seemed to be very excited.
Were you aware that she had sold her house?
Yes.
And did you know about her plans for Thanksgiving?
I did.
What did she tell you?
She was excited to know that her entire family, her kids, were coming to spend the holiday with her and Joel Sr.
And did you talk to her at all on the Thanksgiving holiday weekend?
I did not talk to her during the Thanksgiving weekend.
I want to direct your attention to Monday, November the 28th, and ask you what happened that day.
Well, Lisa, her work schedule started at 7 a.m. And I noticed at about 7:15 that she was not in the office. And I normally gave my employees about 15 minutes to get there. And, you know, more out of being concerned that they were okay, I would start calling. So 7:15 came and she wasn't there. Nobody in her group had heard from her. So I began texting her and she didn't text back. And I thought that was highly unusual. A lot of thoughts went through my mind, you know, hoping that she was okay, hoping that, you know, this was her last week. She was retiring, that she had blown us off. But I knew that wasn't right. So I continued to text her. I continued to text Joel Sr. I called and never did get an answer.
Would that have been unlike her to not show up for work and not to call?
Absolutely. If she couldn't make it to work, she would have called me immediately.
And do I understand you to say that you also attempted to call her husband?
I did.
All right. And how many times would you say you called or texted?
I lost track of how many times, but I kept doing it thinking this time they're going to answer. I would say at least 20, at least.
And then what did you decide to do?
I wanted to call the police to have a welfare check done. So I called the police.
All right. Your Honor, at this time, we would ask to introduce our first exhibit. Exhibits 1 and 2, a recording of called an emergency line, or non-emergency.
Non-emergency, yes.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the court is going to receive this as Exhibit 1 and 2. When I receive an item into evidence as an exhibit, it means it's a piece of evidence that you can consider and will have with you in the jury room during deliberations. 3 and 4. Exhibits 2 and 3. This will be Exhibits 2 and 3. You may publish. That's what I'm looking for. It's not showing that I've got it muted. Are you using HDMI? Let me see if it's my system instead of you. Hold your ears, everybody. This might be loud. I think in general.
It's like
Let's
when
go
your high school
old school. Can you bring that
presentation
microphone
doesn't
down
go
and
as
just
it
play
should.
through your speakers, unplug your HDMI.
On Monday, November 28, 2016 at 9:38 a.m. with a GMT offset of negative 300 minutes. Agent ID extension is 203. Not so free communication. I Yes, I have an employee that has not reported for work today, and highly unlike her. I've tried calling her home number, I've tried calling cell phone, and can't get a hold of her. What can we do about that? Can somebody go by and check on them?
Yeah, do you know her address?
I do. It is 11434 Golden View Lane.
Okay. And what is your name, ma'am?
My name is Jennifer Whited, Whitted.
And what company are you with?
Jacobs Engineering.
And what's a good callback for you guys?
It is 865-216-6625.
Okay, what's the employee's name?
Lisa Guy, Guy. Her husband's name is Joel, Joel.
Should he be there too? Does he live with her?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
And they do have a dog named Jake. I think he's a big baby.
He's probably 29 or maybe 30 at this point. He was 28 when the crime was committed.
She is in her, I think, late 50s.
Do you know if she has any medical issues?
No, I mean, she has high blood pressure, but that's all that I know of. And I know that their house is for sale, and they are moving, and she is leaving our company, but that's supposed to be Friday, and this definitely isn't like her just not to show up.
I'll send a call over to officers, have them swing by and check on her. And if anything changes before then, just give us a call back here, okay?
At the same number?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
After that, did you make a second call?
I did.
And can you tell the jurors about that?
I had realized that nobody had called me, still could not get a hold of Lisa or Joel. So I called back to see what they had found with the welfare check. And I was told that everything seemed to be fine, that nothing looked out of the place. And so they didn't do anything further. I asked them to please go back because I knew that something was not right. She had plans with other coworkers today or that day, and that she would not have canceled or just blown them off. She would have at least called. So I asked them to go back.
And what is the next thing you heard in response to your request?
I was told that they would talk to a detective to see what they thought, and they would get back with me.
And what happened next?
It was probably 20 to 30 minutes later, I think, that I got a phone call from a detective wanting to ask me more questions about Lisa and what I knew. But I did not know that anything in particular had happened.
Was there something special planned that day for Lisa?
There was a lunch that she was going to have with some other coworkers for her retirement.
All right. And when did you hear what had happened?
In their home? What had happened in their home? I had heard that there were bodies found Monday evening, so that evening.
All right. May I approach?
Folks, give me just 1 minute. I'm going to have a conversation off to the side.
Fascinating.
Wow, she's.
I'm not that important.
I don't know if I've ever seen a judge get off the stand.
It's going to take me a minute to get used to this. Okay, I'm sorry. Now, you indicated, Ms. Whited, that at Jacobs there is Ms. Guy was provided with life insurance benefits. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And at this time, Your Honor, please, we're going to introduce as our next exhibit, it's upon records custodian affidavit, the insurance benefits policy. Lisa Guy, and we would like to publish just one page, the beneficiary page.
Without objection, we're going to receive this exhibit 4, the insurance policy purporting to belong to this guy, and you may publish.
And Ms. Whitehead, are you able to see that at all?
I
Yes.
think that's the only
And can you
time
tell
that
the jury
happens.
who her beneficiaries were?
Be able to read it. I need my glasses. So Joel Guy Sr. was 50%, and then Joel Guy Jr. was also 50%.
Okay. And were you aware of the amount of her insurance coverage?
I know what the company provides employees, and it's based off of their pay. So I knew that she at least had that. I did not know if she had any additional that she could have the option to purchase.
And I'm going to pass the witness at this time, Your Honor, please, and then I'll may publish a further document with respect to this exhibit.
Ms. Whitehead.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Mark Stevens. When someone designates a beneficiary on a life insurance policy, do you reach out to those beneficiaries and notify them of that?
No, I do not do that.
All right. Do you know whether anyone within Jacobs Engineering reaches out to those beneficiaries?
When they're made a beneficiary, or no?
And have you ever had any personal contact or conversation with Joel Jr. about the fact that he was named a beneficiary in that policy?
No, I have not.
So you have no firsthand knowledge whether Joel knew that he was a beneficiary, named a beneficiary in that policy?
I do not have any firsthand knowledge.
Ms. Whitehead, do you recall in 2018, someone from my office coming over to speak with you?
I do.
And you declined, which is well within your right, to speak to that individual, is that right?
That's correct.
And ultimately, you were nice enough, you reconsidered, and you agreed to talk with me on the telephone. Do you recall that?
I do recall that, yes.
And do you recall that I asked you, I told you that I had heard that there was some media report that apparently Lisa and Joel Guy Sr. were planning to cut him off financially. And I asked you whether you had any firsthand knowledge of that or whether that statement was accurate. Do you remember me asking you that?
I don't remember the exact questions. I don't remember that.
I don't really either, but generally that was the question, whether or not you were aware of the media reports about him being cut off financially. Is that right? And do you remember telling me you didn't want to talk about that?
Yes, I do. I remember saying that on quite a few questions.
And when you told me you didn't want to talk about that, you were aware of your testimony hasn't changed today from that. So you were aware in 2018 of this statement that you're saying she made. You chose not to share that.
I was aware that we had in passing conversations that this was going to happen, but you told me that I didn't have to answer any questions that I did not want to answer. So yes, I was aware.
All right. That's all I have. Thank you, Ms. Whitehead. Thank you.
No, Your Honor, but we would like to just republish. It's the same page. I just didn't see it on the top of the page. So on this, Whitehead, I just want to direct your attention to the very top line of that. And it says coverage election amount. Do you see that? And what is that figure?
500,000.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Anything else, Staple?
No.
Thank you, man. You may sit down. All right, folks, let me check on your lunch here. All right, I do believe that your lunch is here, folks. So this is a good time to go ahead and break for lunch. So I'm going to give you the same instructions you've already heard from me multiple times.
All right.
Please
Break for lunch.
anyone. If you're going to look at your phones during the lunch break, that's absolutely fine. Just avoid any media coverage of anything. We have your chairs spaced out. You saw this morning where we have you seated this morning. There's another jury being selected in another trial next door. And so you're on that end of the hall, they're on this end of the hall. So just make sure you stay in your space and continue to remain socially distanced. Welcome to the party, pal! Right now, I love to enjoy being outside. And I bet if you need a breath of fresh air without wearing your mask after you eat, she'd be so kind as to walk out there with you. So you can talk to her about that. Just make sure when your masks are off that you're distant from everybody else, okay? Once again, you can leave over some chairs. Please go to officers. I'll see you after lunch. All right, everyone, you may be seated. Does the state waive the call, jury? Defense waive the call? Welcome back, folks. I hope you had a good lunch. We're ready to continue with the state's proof. Joan, if you please call your next witness.
Angela Crane.
Crane, if you please come forward, take the witness stand. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in the case now on trial be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, please have a seat. Once you're seated, you may remove your mask, and I'd ask that you get the microphone up fairly close to your mouth so we can hear it.
What we were doing before was the voir dire.
I'm going to ask you to speak up a little bit. You're very soft-spoken.
Outside of
Angela Crane.
Ears
Ms.
of the
Crane,
jury.
Can you introduce yourself to the jury? Tell them where you live, what you do, and how you're related to Joel Guy Sr.
Joel Guy Sr. is my father. I'm from Kingsport, Tennessee. Born and raised. In April of 2016, I went to upstate New York with my job for an emergency project, and I've been up there since.
What do you do?
I do civil design.
Okay, what does that entail?
It's civil engineering design. It's right now I'm working on currently 11 sanitary sewer projects.
Okay. What does your father do for a living?
He's a piping designer, and he's actually the reason why I do what I do. Growing up, we used to, whenever he and Lisa and Joel Michael would come up and visit, he would always bring blueprints of the projects he was working on, and I was just fascinated. Mm-hmm. It was drawing and math, which is both things that I love, and he encouraged that. So.
Okay. Now, Lisa was not your mother, is that correct?
Correct.
Can you tell the jury when you met Lisa and how that came about?
Lisa, when Michelle and I were 3, they met, and she's been like a second mother to us since before I can remember.
So your mother and your sister's mother and your father divorced, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
When we were 1, I believe, was when they divorced.
Okay. And can you tell the jury how long Joel and Lisa were married?
31 years, I believe.
So when did you first learn that he was going to be retiring?
They had been talking about it for a while, but he had sent a group message we have a family group message, and it, so that was on November 17th that he finally got word that his house had sold and they had signed the documents and that they needed to be out of the home by December 13th. So, but they had the house up for sale for quite some time.
And were you aware of Lisa's plans to retire?
Yes, she was excited about retiring and just spending her time. They were madly in love, so just spending time with each other.
Okay. Did she make any statements to you about her intentions with respect to the support of her son, the defendant?
She did. On one of my trips back home in October, Dad and I were talking out in the garage, and she had stated that they were going to retire, and it was time for Joe Michael to stand on his own 2 feet. He was an adult.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you say you're out in the garage. Can you explain how your family used the garage?
It was our social gather. Like every time we visited Dad and Lisa, I believe we stood up the whole entire time. We just congregated and hung out, and we would go out in the garage, and that's where we smoked cigarettes and just even played cornhole in the garage.
Did they put their cars in the garage?
They kept the boat in the garage.
Okay. All right. Can you tell the jury how long how often you communicated with your dad?
Oh, if not every day. And on Sundays we would call and talk, but via text message. Dad, Michelle, Lisa, and I had this text thread where we would just text each other. I mean, we just really would banter. Dad was so funny.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about the decision to move to Sirgoinsville? What made that a special place for your father?
That was his old stomping grounds. That's where he grew up. That was his family home, and he was excited to go back home.
Now, again, what was your understanding of when the move would take place?
Well, they had to be out by December 13th, so they were packing and getting everything ready for the new homeowners to move in on December 13th. So it was.
And were you aware of when Lisa's last day at work would be?
It was the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Okay. Did you attend the Thanksgiving holiday?
I was going to, but at last minute, I decided I was going to spend the whole week with them for Christmas. So I did not.
What were the family plans for Christmas?
To have the whole entire family in Sirgoinsville, have a Christmas Eve dinner, and just be reunited and enjoy each other.
And you mentioned that your parents that Lisa and Joel had a very warm relationship. Did you communicate often with your brother?
No.
And can you describe your relationship with Lisa?
With Lisa, she was one of my best friends, and so was Dad.
I'm going to pass the witness. Thank you.
No questions.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. You may remain in the audience.
Shandace Fink. Yes, it is.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in the case now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, please have a seat, ma'am. Once you're seated, you may remove your mask and please speak clearly into the microphone.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Shandace Fink.
And I'm going to have to ask you to speak up just a bit.
Shandace Fink.
Ms. Fink, where do you live?
Kingsport, Tennessee.
How are you related to Joel Guy Sr.?
He's my dad.
Right. And I would like for you to tell the jury what your understanding was about Joel and Lisa's plans for their move to Sirgoinsville.
They plan to retire.
And did you talk to your father often?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury how often you spoke to him or texted?
Almost every weekend, unless one of the two of us was going to be out of town or something.
Okay. Did you hear from your father or communicate with him at all on Saturday, November the 26th or Sunday, November the 27th?
No.
And did that surprise you?
It did.
And why did it surprise you?
Because Sunday was my birthday.
Did you expect a call from your father on that day?
Yes.
Did you find it unusual that he did not call?
It was the first birthday I ever missed.
I'm going to pass the witness.
Thank you, ma'am. And you may remain in the audience.
Renee Charles.
Witness stand. Since you, Ms. Finker.
So just to clarify, the first 3, maybe 4 people that you saw that were up and down, that was a voir dire. I think I'm saying that right. It was out of the earshot of jury. They were asking them some questions. That's why at the end of those folks, the judge asked the defense if they object to anything. Now the jury's in, and now they're questioning the witnesses a little more thoroughly. Whatever that means.
Family members, we're not going to disinfect. Should not distance. If you please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to be given in the case now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please have a seat, ma'am, and you may remove your mask. Please speak loudly into the microphone.
State your name for the record, please.
Renee Charles.
Ms. Charles, how are you related to Joel Guy Sr.?
I'm his sister.
And how did you refer to him?
As Mike.
So he was known as Mike growing up. Okay. How often did you talk to your brother?
3 or 4 times a week.
Right. Did you communicate by telephone or by text?
Text, mostly.
Okay. And did you communicate with him around the Thanksgiving holiday?
Yes.
In 2016?
Yes.
And did you discuss with him his plans for the future?
Yes.
And what did you know his plans to be?
Well, the week before they were at the house and we were talking about what they were going to do. And they said that they were going to wait till Christmas to talk to Joel Michael, that they were going to have him to start paying his bills and stuff.
Okay. Did you all have plans for Christmas?
Yes.
What were the plans?
Everybody was going to meet at the house. And Joel Michael would be in for Christmas. They said he wasn't coming in for Thanksgiving.
Okay. And was that going to be in Sirgoinsville then, the
Mhm.
new house?
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe this house for the jury? Was this your family home?
Yes.
All right. And had your brother Joel Sr. or Mike, had he already made arrangements to buy the house?
Yes. They was done moving stuff in.
And when was the last time that you saw him?
The week before.
Okay. Do you know whether or not he had plans to travel to Sirgoinsville on November the 25th?
Yeah.
That would have been a Friday, the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I called him that day.
Okay. And what were his plans?
They were going to leave and go back about 3:30.
So they were planning to come up to
Friday.
Sirgoinsville from Knoxville? Yeah. Okay. And
Yeah.
why were they coming up for the day?
To bring the boat and clean and do things around the house.
And I believe you just said that they intended to go back home to Knoxville about 3?
About 3:30 so they could eat supper.
Okay. Now, did you try to communicate with him at all on the following days, Saturday or Sunday, the 26th or 27th?
I called him Thanksgiving Day and I called him Saturday and Sunday.
Did you speak to him or hear from him on Saturday and Sunday?
No.
How many times would you say that you tried to talk to him?
I called 2 or 3 times and texted.
And you got no response?
No.
All right. Now, did you have a relationship with Lisa?
Yes.
And what was the nature of that relationship?
She's just a good friend, a sister-in-law,
Did you have an opportunity to observe her relationship with your brother?
Yes.
And what was their relationship like?
It was great. I mean, they just
prosecution.
They just fit, They were meant to be together.
Now, did you have a relationship with your nephew, the defendant?
No, just when he come in for holidays.
Okay. So the last time you communicated with your brother was on Friday, November the 25th. Is
Yes.
that right? And you did not receive a response from him on the 26th and 27th.
No.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just briefly. Renee, Joel lived in Louisiana, is that correct?
Yes,
And at some point, Mike and Lisa moved from Louisiana up to Knoxville.
yes,
Joel did not move with them.
no,
So Joel's entire
That's the
life, he'd
fact.
lived in Louisiana. And you, for your entire life, had lived in Upper East Tennessee, is that
Right.
correct? That's all I have.
Anything else, Joe?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. You may sit down.
Robin White.
You solemnly swear or affirm that testimony about to give in the case now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. May remove your mask.
State your name for the record, please.
Robin White,
Or how are you related to Joel Guy Sr.?
he's my brother,
And what did you call him?
Mike,
Ms. White, do you live in Sirgoinsville?
I do.
Okay. Did you know whether or not your brother had plans to move to Sirgoinsville?
Yes,
And can you tell the jury what those plans were when he planned to do it?
he planned to retire
been
and he bought the
84
home from me. When my dad died, I was the trustee and he bought the house from me. And I helped him clean and do things around the house. I got to spend all day Wednesday before he died with him. And
That would have been the 23rd of November?
yeah,
Yeah, approach. I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification as Exhibit 5 and ask you if you recognize this.
I do. That's our home.
Okay, and is that the house that he was going to buy from you?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, if we could publish this photograph.
No, no.
Now, when did they plan to go up there to live? When did you think that? what was the
Well, they
intention?
was moving in some, what things and stuff and doing things to the yard, getting ready to move the dog, putting fences up and stuff for the dog. And we helped them with all that.
Okay. Did you discuss plans with your brother for the holidays that were coming up?
No, I didn't discuss no plans for the holidays. I'm not one to plan that far ahead.
Well, so
I was just busy helping him with the house and stuff.
What about the Christmas holiday?
Yeah, we usually see each other. We always have. We've always, the family always gets together and has a big meal and enjoys each other.
Now, you said that on Wednesday, the 23rd, he was going to be bringing, did you say he was bringing the boat up to the house? Or?
Yeah, we got done working in the basement that day and everything. And he said he'd be back up Friday. He was going to bring the boat and stuff. And I called him Friday and it was probably about 1 o'clock. He said he wasn't going to be there much longer, that him and Joel Michael was there and they had brought the boat and stuff up. He wasn't going to be there much longer, that I could just holler at him our Monday when he come back up.
Okay. And did he indeed bring the boat up on Friday?
He did.
And do you know who was with him when he brought the boat up?
All I know is Joel Michael was with him because he was showing him the house and everything.
Now, at some point before Thanksgiving, did you have a conversation with Lisa Guy about her future intentions, what she was going to do after she quit work?
Yeah, Lisa said that she was going to retire too and maybe try to find some work. I'm not really sure if she was really going to find a job or not, but she said, she was excited about everything.
And did she discuss her future plans on whether or not she could help support her son?
She said that she couldn't do that no more.
Okay.
That he needed to be on his own.
And did you have an opportunity to observe the relationship between your brother and Lisa?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was with them a lot. We went a lot of places together, parks and stuff, Yeah, they was very much in love, and you could tell it when you was around them.
And what was your relationship like with Lisa?
Lisa was like my sister.
And do you know your nephew very well.
No,
And,
no, I really don't.
And that's, he
never
obviously-
was around.
He lived in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. Thank you very much.
I think that's a
You're
split
welcome.
level, y'all. I think you walk in and there's stairs that go up and down.
Good afternoon.
I lived
Hello.
in a house
Just to
like that in
clarify
Maryland
one
for a
point,
couple of years.
When the boat was brought up, did you see Mike and Joel Michael that day?
No, I talked to my brother on the phone while he was there
Okay,
because I was
Thank you.
going to come down.
okay, thank you.
Just very briefly, did you talk to him again afterwards on the 26th or the 27th, that Saturday or Sunday?
No, my sister called me and told me she couldn't get in touch with neither one of them. She was worried.
Thank you. Michelle Dennison, her last name is apparently is Tyler now. I'm sorry for using the wrong last name.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give the case now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please note these names. You may do your math. Just speak.
State your name for the record, please.
Michelle Tyler.
And how are you related to the parties in this case?
I am Joel Guy's daughter and Lisa's stepdaughter.
And how are you? Are you and Angela Crane twins?
Yes, ma'am.
Sisters. Okay. Can you describe for the jury a little bit your relationship with Lisa and your dad?
We were very close, like friends, like best friends. They were my best friends.
Did you communicate with them regularly?
Yes, ma'am. And we had a group text. It was more, the text was banter, just funny. Even through email, Dad would send banter of funniness.
Okay. And how often would you all communicate together?
Weekly, if not daily, but weekly.
Okay. And I take it from what you're saying that you've had a good relationship with them?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you tell us a little bit about how long you had been with Lisa and what your connection to her was?
Lisa's been in my life my entire life, and it said it 3, but she's been my entire memory. And so we would go in the summers. Dad would have us for a month in the summer because they always lived so far away, and Angela and I would go visit for the entire month. But the dynamics of that was my mom was a single mom, so there's struggles with single moms. But when we went to Lisa's house, her cabinets were stocked with food. And she greeted Dad like the perfect Walton family. When they would come home, dinner would be cooked with meat and side dishes, and there would be candy in the shelves. And I just would watch her, and I watched her growing up like she was the mom, or that dream that you had to have not a single home, a double parent home, to where she loved, like, I so wanted to be this woman that my first engagement ring was her exact engagement ring. And I wanted to be the mom she was. She would sit in her little brown Sperry brown shirt. She had a really high arch in her foot, and just with her cup, I wanted to, even at certain points in my life, I walked around with a cup that had like the little square placement under it. Because I wanted to be her. I wanted to be the mom that she was.
So it's fair to say you all maintained this relationship well into your adulthood. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And because of your close relationship with them, did they tell you about their plans?
Yes, ma'am.
In October and November of 2016, what were you aware about their future plans?
We would celebrated my youngest son's birthday in October. It's October 28th, that weekend. They had said that they were retiring and that they were moving to Sikoransville, and that Joel Michael was going to find a job or need to find a job because they were no longer their money when they sat down and determined even down to the amount of beer that they drink a week and the amount of cigarettes that they have a week. what amount of money they would need, and that amount of money was what they had to retire.
Now, on Thanksgiving, November the 24th of that year, did you plan to be with them?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you tell the jury what time you went over and who you were with?
We had, I'm not sure what time I arrived. It was early. We always spent all day together. My 3 sons were with me. They were significantly younger, so they weren't as big in the pictures. See, grown 7 feet. My oldest is here today. So my sons were with me. Sorry.
And anybody else?
So my sons came with me, and then my boyfriend was coming that evening. He was having Thanksgiving dinner at his granny's house. And then he was coming to my house, but my parents did not know at that point that he was coming.
Okay. But it's fair to say you were with your parents before he came.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And who else was staying in the house?
It was Joel Michael Jr.
Okay. And can you tell the jury how long you were there?
I would say I was there from 10:30 or 11 until 8 o'clock that night. Maybe 8:30.
Can you describe what you all did throughout the day?
It's no, I don't know if it's usual for everyone else, but ours is you hang out in the garage and you laugh and you talk and you tell the same stories, and then you move to different spots. So we moved at one point to the back porch. This day was a little different. It was always more, the typical time with Dad and Lisa was more laughing and banter. But if Joel Michael Jr. was there, he wasn't ever hanging with us doing that banter. He would be in his room.
Okay.
Except for on Thanksgiving.
And at some point, did he interact, though, with your children?
The Thanksgiving was different. The Thanksgiving was completely different. The moment that I arrived, Joel Michael Jr. was talking to us. And so, he had never, I'm not sure Joel Michael Jr. knew my kids' names. And so for him to talk to them was odd. And so he was talking to my kids and he was bringing them upstairs. Lisa had kept every single thing that this kid had he wasn't a kid at that point, but his entire everything, Beanie Babies that he had collected, things that he had put on the shelf, like eggs, science stuff. And she memorialized, it's not a word, memorialized. I'm not going to know the word right now. Memorialized. No.
Memorialized.
Yes, that word. His entire life in boxes upstairs. And so they were bringing those boxes down, but it wasn't Lisa giving that away. Lisa didn't want to give it away. It was Joel Michael Jr. giving it to my boys, which was still odd.
So he gave them some toys.
Yes.
Okay. Did you have occasion to make any observations about your brother's car on that day?
I had, that day I had sent Dad a text. My dryer had broke. And I had sent Dad a text with a picture of all of my clothes in the back. And there was a full trunk full of clothes. And so when I pulled in for my car to be right there so I could carry all of these clothes upstairs to his washer and dryer. But in walking past
He sounds so much like Brandi.
Big totes in the back, and the lids were on them, and one was inside the other. But I thought he had carried his luggage in my brain, what my brain thought. Or my first reaction was that his luggage was in that car. Why he had carried, that's the reason I remembered it. Why did he put his luggage? Why does he not have luggage?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And did you have an opportunity to go upstairs?
It was so odd that
oh my gosh, close your eyes.
Upstairs, like interacting with Joel Michael, that
and just
I was going upstairs
listen.
for 2 reasons. I was going upstairs for laundry, and then I was going upstairs to check on the boys.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to go into your parents' bedroom?
I did.
And did anything seem to be out of the ordinary there?
No, my dad, I never make the bed up, ever. My bed's still not made up right now. My dad makes the bed up every day. Lisa, that's one thing they always did, even growing up. Like I wanted to be that housewife that made the bed like Lisa did. And so the bed was always made up. The bathroom stuff was always clean. Like it was always, they had separate bathrooms. But
See you, sir. Thanks
Do
for
you know
joining.
which room your brother
good
was
night.
using that weekend?
he was, if you come to the top of the stairs, the room that he was using that weekend was right at the top of the stairs. Their room was to the right and his was right there.
And was there a bathroom up there for him to use? Were you aware of which bathroom he used?
I am not, no, ma'am.
Okay. How many bathrooms were upstairs in the house?
2.
And was there a bathroom connected to the master bedroom?
Yes, ma'am.
So the other bathroom was where?
The other bathroom was here was Joel Michael Jr.'s room. And if you go down the hallway, it was down the hallway on the right.
And where was the laundry room?
The laundry room was right across from that bathroom.
Upstairs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I guess you were aware that your parents had a dog?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you do laundry while you were there?
Yes, a lot.
And did you observe anything unusual about the laundry room?
No, there was nothing unusual about the laundry room. I was, every time I would go upstairs, it's like he would be right behind me, which is also.
When you say he, who do you mean?
I'm so sorry. Joel Michael Jr. would be right behind me. Like in my, like right behind me. Cause I remember doing this, like, why is he right behind me?
Okay. And did you find that odd at the time?
I did, because on 27 years or however old he was, he stayed in his bedroom. He was never smiling, saying, let me give you something, or right behind me ever.
Okay. So I want to ask you a little bit more about the house. What do you know about your father's guns?
He has a lot of them.
Okay. And why did he have a lot of guns?
He was a conspiracy theorist. I don't know. He loved shooting. I'm joking about the conspiracy theorists. We were, and maybe it's in my head, or maybe, but we're all, myself, I can shoot the bullseye with a gun. My oldest son could shoot the bullseye. We all are very good shots. And it's just, I guess we said it was the Joel guy. Like we had Joel guy in us. Even my oldest can shoot, and
Did they like to target practice? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Even bow and arrow, we could shoot the bullseye.
Okay. And did Lisa participate in the target shooting too?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So your father, was he moving these guns from one house to another, or were they visible when you were at the house on Thanksgiving? Did you see them?
Guns were always a part of growing up. Like you knew they were loaded, and you knew not to touch them.
Well, now you have
It's
to.
the same in my house. So if there were guns present, they weren't laid out. They would have been in the regular spots that they were in, and it would have been, even my kids know there's guns in my house, or our house, and there's guns in Papa's house and in Mama's house, and every single gun is loaded. You do not touch. And so
Did you see any long guns on the dining room table during Thanksgiving?
No, ma'am. No.
Okay. All right. Now, do you know whether or not your father had any kind of cameras, security cameras in the house?
He always had cameras. Even when he lived in Louisiana, he had cameras in different parts of the house. And
after his death, did you have an opportunity to notice whether or not those cameras were still in the house?
On Thanksgiving, the cameras were in the house because he had a button that you could turn it on into the TV, into the living room, and see the cameras. But after Thanksgiving, the next time I was in there, and with cops asking me, I said, there are cameras in the house, but there were no cameras in the house.
Okay. Now, did you know what your parents were going to do on the day after Thanksgiving? Did they discuss their future plans with you?
I knew they were going to take the boat. I knew they were taking items they had packed. They were starting the packing process, so they had already moved a bed. The reason the one room to the left didn't have a bed is because they had already set up, to my understanding, a bed at the new house, and to my understanding, had already brought boxes or were taking not passed, were taking boxes up there. And so that's why there was boxes in that upstairs room.
So, when was the last time you spoke to your father?
It would have been Thanksgiving night.
Did you hear from him by text or telephone after Thanksgiving?
The picture I had texted because I wanted to post that picture of the boys and Dad and Lisa. So I had texted them for that picture, but nobody responded. And then I texted another text, and I'm not sure what the other text said, but no one was, and it was in the group text with my sister, and no one responded.
May I approach?
Yes. Oh, you're asking me? Yeah, sure.
Aw. Aw.
Let me show you. I think there's an objection, Judge, to these being introduced as exhibits. Exhibit number 6, and ask you if you can identify this.
Yes, ma'am. That was the picture we took on Thanksgiving.
And that's the picture that we had published during the opening statement. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Your entire family. And if you could just identify the people in the photograph, if you could publish. I would send
It is Dad and Lisa's in the photo, and then my youngest son, Ben, is in the photo, and my middle son.
Okay.
That is Dad.
See it right here.
Okay. That is Dad and Lisa. Dad is on the right, and then Lisa's on the left, and then Joel Michael Jr. is next to him, and then Preston, my oldest son, is at the very top. And we color coded for holidays. At that time, kind of lost that a little bit, but you see that Ben and Baylor in the same outfit. Ben being taller, but he stayed small for so long. Like he stayed in 8-year-old clothes. And so he looks tiny there. He's way bigger now. And then Ben is the littlest one.
Okay. And I want to show you exhibit number 7, 8, and 9. And ask you if you recognize these photographs.
Yes, ma'am. I mean,
We shouldn't have any more
recognize
flashing anymore.
What's in the picture? I've not. These are the first time I think.
But if
I've
we
seen
do,
these.
I've got my hand on the finger.
These
or
are
my
these are the
finger on the
stuff
trigger.
that this is.
I don't know what I'm trying to say.
This is the stuff. This is the stuff that Joel Michael gave the boys.
Can you look at all of those photographs just to make
Yes.
sure? Did a forensic technician come out to your house at some point and take photographs of all of you?
They came out and took photographs and swabbed all of us, and then that's when they were asking about this stuff, and then I said they have the tubs of this. The boys hadn't. I'm not sure what date it was on, but the boys had just basically brought it in the house, so we threw it.
So that's how they were brought into the house?
Yes, ma'am.
That would be exhibit number 9. And then the next one? No. So does this photograph depict some of the games and toys that were given? This Tyler?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
And Exhibit 8, does this depict the Beanie Babies that the defendant gave your sons?
Yes, ma'am.
And then Exhibit 9, also just other toys that he's given.
Yes,
that were
ma'am.
given to him. Okay. Can you tell the jury a little bit about how you found out about your parents' deaths?
Say it again. Found out
About your parents' deaths?
So Monday morning came, and in our family, we have this thing to where we always answer text. You don't not double negative, but you always answer a text. And no one had answered my text. So I had texted them, but then I came down with the stomach virus on Sunday. And so that it took me a minute to get over that, but I had to go to work on Monday. So when I got up for work on Monday, I was driving in, and I don't know when I called my sister, but I know I was on the phone with my sister that morning, and I said, are you all mad at me? Is somebody mad at me? It's not like my family, especially my dad and Lisa, they didn't have problems with.
Oh, that's terrible.
They just made the intent to not have problems with people. They would never voice their problem with somebody. And so for them to not answer my text was really weird. And so I said, well, I told Angela I'm going to text them or wait on their response, and I'm not sure. I'm sure I texted them again or tried to call them. I believe by this point their phones were going to voicemail. And I said, I'm going to go after work and check on them if they've not responded. And she said, okay, just let me know. And usually if we panicked like that, it always was, at point, okay. And so I don't know the exact time, but about 2, Jennifer had got in touch with me through Facebook.
Jennifer Whited?
Yes, ma'am. And she had said, there's something wrong. You need to call me, and I'm not sure her exact message. And so I called her, and she said, you need to get a hold of the detectives. And so I called Detective McCord, and he said, you need to come meet me. And I was working. I can't remember. I don't think the school day was over because I said people had to get my class. I'm a teacher. And then I had to walk straight out the building, and I collected my kids, my own kids. And he said, do not go to the house. And I said, okay. And he said, meet me at the Harley Davidson place. And I met him at the Harley Davidson parking lot.
Okay. And did he tell you what had happened or what he feared had happened?
He said they didn't. He said the bodies were unidentifiable, and I said, well, if you will,
Going into what he said, let me ask you this. Did you give him information about your parents' cars, the kind of cars they had?
Yes, I gave him everything. For the most part, I think I gave him everything he asked about. He was asking about, he didn't know who was there, whose body was there, which didn't make sense at the time. But
did you tell him who had been present with you on Thanksgiving?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you give him information about the defendant, your brother, being present on Thanksgiving?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at some point, were you able to give him descriptive information about your brother?
Yes.
Like what do you look like?
All of them, yes.
Okay. Now, I know that must have been a difficult time for you. Is your memory sequential? I mean, do you remember everything, or are things just sort of jumbled for you?
It's a jumble. It's like most people's memories are linear. Mine's like a ball, and then there's different.
Okay.
So it's not. There's
Good night.
Going to be sequential.
Is it fair to say that you were shaken by this interaction with Detective McCord?
I was, because I couldn't understand. Like I said, if you all will just let me, you can cover their face, and there's 1980s all written all over them. Like their hair was 1980s, and their we're always in bathing suits.
Okay. So when did you next go back to the house on Golden View?
That's the part I don't know. It was after, it wasn't any time I don't know. I can't. I don't know the date. It would have been after we were allowed back in there, but it would have been, I don't know. Can't tell you a date. Like that's what the jumbled part is. There's a couple of weeks there where it was just so.
So the last time you saw your parents was on Thanksgiving, and the last time you saw your brother, Joel Michael Jr., was on Thanksgiving.
Yes, ma'am.
Is he in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you point to him for the jury? Were you involved in your father's estate in any way after their deaths were confirmed?
I was the executor of this. I mean, the executor of Dad's estate, not the executor of Lisa's.
And as part of your duties as the executor, were you made aware of financial transactions on your father's accounts that took place after November the 26th, 2016?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And as part of your duties as the executor, did the estate receive any sort of credits on the accounts as a result of charges that were made after November the 26th, 2016?
If it was before that date, it's not considered theft, so there's no disputing it. But since it was after the date of their death, I provided a death certificate, and there were such large amounts for utility, a large amount for a school. The only thing that we didn't get back, and it was just because someone paid on the credit card the $10,000. It was a $10,000 amount to his apartment complex, but the apartment complex refused to even.
Okay. What school were you dealing with?
LSU.
LSU?
Yes. Okay. To my memory.
Okay, just a second. Did your parents typically keep their dog in the laundry room locked up?
That dog was so pampered that they would jokingly threaten him to send him to my house. Just straight up, like he had to have the water fed to him a certain way and certain ice chips, and they would never lock him in a
it's
room,
Lucy.
ever. But that's just not how Lisa did things.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
Good afternoon. Just a couple of questions. So in some, you're saying Joel Michael, the person on trial today, was more outgoing and friendly at Thanksgiving than you'd seen him before?
It's not more. He was outgoing and friendly. He usually is never outgoing and friendly.
Okay.
He doesn't speak at all.
And your parents had to be out of the house by December 13th?
I am not sure on the certain date.
But sometime in that neighborhood they were moving?
Yes, sir.
So it may not have been unusual then the Friday afterward for your dad to start collecting the guns in one place to move down?
I don't know what would be usual or unusual.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
You're right. Thanks, Tyler. You make that down. You may remain in the courtroom. Who's next?
There's the Officer Tyler and
Over 30 minutes, right? Folks, our next one is going to be a little bit more lengthy, so let's go ahead and take a recess. Once again, do not discuss the case among yourselves or with anyone else. You may leave notes in the chair. You go, officers. I'll see you in about 10 minutes.
He's got such awkward movements. That nose is just permanently up to everybody. You could not have a better read or tell. Okay, bye. Do, do, do.
All right, everyone, you may be seated. Does the state waive the call, jury? Defense waive the call? Welcome back, folks. Thank you for that break. We're ready to resume the state's proof. Gentlemen, if you please call your next witness. Director, please come forward.
Uh-oh. Where you be at? Here he comes, boogity, boogity. There he goes, boogity, boogity.
Stand next to me, sir. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony about to give in the case now on trial be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Please have a seat, sir. Once you're seated, you may remove your face covering.
Tell us your name, sir.
Stephen Ballard,
And by whom are you employed?
Knox County Sheriff's Office.
In what capacity?
I work in the Major Crimes Unit.
I want to talk about the year 2016. Were you still employed in that year, sir?
Yes, sir.
And what was your assignment on November the 28th, 2016?
I was a patrol canine officer,
In what region of Knox County were you charged with patrolling?
West Knoxville.
And does that include Golden View Lane?
Yes, sir.
And I want to ask you about that day, sir. Did you have cause to respond to 11434 Golden View Lane here in Knox County?
Yes, sir.
And what was the basis of you responding to that residence?
It was to do a welfare check on Lisa Guy.
Okay. And did you in fact go to that residence?
Yes, sir.
And if you would, tell the members of the jury what you did to accomplish your welfare check once you got to the residence.
The first initial response, I pulled up to the residence. I exited my vehicle. I went to the front door, knocked on the front door, rung the doorbell, didn't get a response. So I went to if you're facing the house, I went to the left side of the house. There was a small white 4-foot fence around the backyard. I noticed a dog house in the backyard. I whistled for the dog. Didn't get any response. Looked down, noticed that the gate was locked. At that point, I come back around to the front door of the home, and I knocked and rang the doorbell again.
Did you have cause to notice whether or not the residence was for sale at that time?
There was a for sale sign in the front yard.
And were there vehicles physically in the driveway of the residence?
Yes, sir.
And in the course of your welfare check, did you run those vehicle tags, sir?
I could have possibly run those on my computer. Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you recall whether or not you did that day?
I don't recall.
Okay. So when you go to the door, sir, are you looking in the door or are you just knocking and ringing the doorbell?
No, sir. I'm just knocking and ringing the doorbell. It had been an officer safety issue to be peering in.
When you say officer safety issue, what are you talking about, sir?
Typically, if I go out to a residence, I don't put my face up to the window to be able to see inside. It's an officer safety issue.
And how long on the initial response did you spend at 11434 Golden View Lane?
I'll say approximately 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay. Can I approach you?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to approach and show you what's been pre-marked here. States did a tentative identification. Can you identify that, sir? Yes, sir. That's 11434 Golden View.
Does that accurately reflect the residence that you responded to on November 28, 2016?
Yes, sir.
Got to read out the evidence.
Give me a second.
After your initial response, do you have cause to return to that residence?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me back up a little. Where did you go after your first response, after you left the residence?
I went about my daily duties, and I believe that I had actually pulled into a parking lot off of Lovell Road before I initially went back out for the second time.
Okay, and do you recall the lapse of time between the first visit and the second?
I'll say approximately an hour to 2 hours.
Okay, and what was the cause to go back a second time?
I had spoke with Detective McCord over the phone. We were discussing a robbery that had taken place on Level Road. I believe it was, the business was the Subway. We briefly spoke about that. Detective McCord asked me what I had found when I went out to the guy residence. I explained to him that the inside foyer light was on. There were vehicles in the driveway, but I got no response at the door. At that point, Detective McCord told me that he had a little more information and asked if I would go back out to the residence with him.
Okay, and did you in fact go back with Detective McCord?
Yes, sir.
And were any other patrol officers accompanying the two of you?
Yes, sir.
And who were they, sir?
That would have been Jarrett Graves, and I believe it was Sergeant Benjamin Gresham at the time.
Okay, and upon the second arrival, what, if anything, you guys do differently than you did in the first welfare check?
So the second time when we arrived there, the neighbor, if you're facing the guy residence, the neighbor to the left, her garage door was open. We actually went over, spoke with her briefly just to see if she could tell us when the last time was that she had seen them. Then we go across the street and speak with the neighbors across the street from the guy residence.
Is this something that you would do on any sort of welfare check and investigate further?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and after you get back to the physical residence, you knock on the door and ring the doorbell again?
So I know we've tried 100 times cases in here, but there's a juror right behind you, and you're kind of standing in front of her, and I don't want her to miss what they think. I'm sorry. I know it's just a habit, but it's a little bit different.
I'll try to stay confined to the podium if I could.
What was the question again, sir?
When you return to the residence after you canvass the neighborhood, if you will, what did you go to the back of the residence at any point?
I believe at that point, Sergeant Gresham was on the front porch, and he had pointed out on inside the residence some groceries.
Tennessee.
You could see if you put your face up to the actual window, you could see groceries sitting inside in the foyer. So myself, Detective McCord, we go around the left side of the house. If you're facing the front of the house, we climb the fence, get into the backyard. We go up onto the porch area. As soon as you get up in front of the door, we noticed the doorknob, one of the doorknobs was missing, and Detective McCord had knelt down to look through that doorknob.
Okay. When you say a doorknob's missing, could you physically see into the residence?
Through the knob, through the doorknob hole, yes.
So where the knob should be?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And based on that, did you have cause to investigate further?
Yes, sir.
And where do you go after the back of the residence? Where do you go next, sir?
So when we start walking back around, there's a back door to the garage that has a doggy door. I had attempted to see if that door was unlocked, and it was not. So then we go back around to the fence where we had crossed, and we climb back over the fence at that point.
And once you're back in the driveway after being in the backyard, what do you do, sir?
At some point, the garage door opens and we enter the residence.
Okay. And when you say the garage door opens, is that as a result of law enforcement opening that garage door?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Okay. It wasn't you physically who did it?
No, sir.
And when you enter the residence, if you would describe to the members of the jury what you were seeing and what was going on upon your initial entry.
So the garage door comes up. Detective McCord is in front of me. I'm behind Detective McCord. The other two officers are behind me. As we enter the garage, you can feel an intense heat coming out of the garage area. We go up to the interior garage door. And if you're facing in the garage, the interior garage door would have been to our right. Detective McCord announces Knox County Sheriff's Office. And at that point, he pushes the interior door open. When the interior door comes open, we step into the residence. There's some chemicals setting in the floor as soon as you step in, and then we begin to clear the residence.
Okay, and when you're clearing a residence, describe to the members of the jury what you're trying to achieve, sir.
We're trying to achieve to see if Mr. and Mrs. Guy are okay due to the fact they didn't come to the door. You've got groceries sitting in the floor and the back doorknob's obviously missing at that point. We continue to go through the residence. As we go through the garage door, you see the chemicals sitting in the floor. There's like a short, long hallway to the right, the best I recall. And if you're looking down that hallway, you see a dining room table toward the front of the residence. I can see something at that point lying on the dining room table. We continue through, come down the foyer where the groceries are lying in the floor. I look to my right, I see long guns lying out on the dining room table. At that point, we turn to start up the stairway.
Let me ask you, sir, at this point, do you have your service weapon drawn?
Yes, sir.
And do the other officers with you have their service weapons drawn?
I know Detective McCord did. The other two officers were behind me at that point.
And in terms of what you're perceiving with your senses, can you smell chemicals?
I actually feel a tingling on my forehead from the time that I entered the home. As we continue on and start up the steps, the heat is more intense. It seems to be getting hotter.
Okay. And if you would describe what, if anything, you observed in the course of going up the steps.
There again, the groceries were in the floor. I noticed the weapons lying out on the dining room table. We start up the steps. We get to a landing where there's a small, like, child gate. Detective McCord sees some blood that he believes to be on the wall at that point. He asks if anyone has had gloves on them. And I did have a pair of gloves in my BDU pockets. I pulled those gloves out to put them on so that we could open that gate and go on up to the landing upstairs.
Okay. And to the best of your recollection, if you could describe the layout of the upstairs once you make it to the second floor.
So when you hit the landing, there's a room immediately to your right that turns, it turns back kind of behind you. Then there was a room on an
It's a neck gaiter
to my right and another room on an angle to my left with a long hallway.
Okay. And in terms of what you believe to be blood, do you see anything once you get to the top of the stairs?
Yes, sir. When I get to the top of the steps, I believed it to be a human hand or a hand lying at the very end of the hallway.
Okay. And did you go a different way or have cause to go a different way than Detective McCord did initially when you're clearing the residence?
Yes, sir. Detective McCord broke off immediately to the right and kind of behind where I was, and I continued down the hallway.
Okay. And where you think you see hands, do you eventually make it to that room, sir?
Yes, sir.
And do you clear that room?
Yes, sir. Partially. Yes, sir.
And if you would, describe what you see in that room.
I see a human hand. It was lying in an upright position with another human hand that was closed fist behind it.
And after you make those observations, what do you collectively do as the officers who are clearing the residence?
Detective McCord had seen something in one of the other rooms and requested that we back out at that point. And at that point, we worked our way back out of the residence. And I went, if you were facing their residence, I went to the outside far back right of the residence and held a perimeter till we could get additional officers on scene.
And when you say you held the perimeter, is there any reason why you were continuing to hold the perimeter if you cleared the interior of the residence?
The complete interior of the residence, I don't believe, had been cleared at that point.
Okay. And at any point during the time within the residence at 11434 Golden View, were you alerted as to the presence of a dog anywhere?
Yes, you could hear a dog in one of the rooms faintly barking.
Okay. And where the dog was, is that one of the rooms that you cleared?
No, sir.
Okay. And when you're holding your perimeter back outside, how long do you do that?
How long what, sir?
How long are you holding the perimeter outside?
It seemed like forever. Maybe 15 minutes,
okay.
10, 15 minutes.
And did you have reason to re-enter the residence that day, sir?
I did not.
And I want to ask you, sir, are you equipped with a body camera
Yes, sir.
on this date, November 28, 2016?
Yes, sir.
And have you had a chance to review those videos prior to testifying today?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, if we could, we would ask to publish 3 segments of body camera footage from November 28, 2016. Second, John, I'm going to show you what's been pre-marked with State's Exhibit 11 for identification. Can you identify that disc, sir?
Yes, sir. It's marked with my name on it and being my body camera.
And does it have the date the same as the day that you responded to 11/4/34?
Yes, sir. It does.
We knew that in evidence, sir. Thank you, Don. I'm going to show you first the initial response.
So strange. So strange.
I may stop you here just to ask questions, but is there a reason why the portion of the front end of the body camera footage is typically used?
Is there a difference in what, sir?
Is there a reason why the front end of the body camera footage is muted?
My understanding is when you very first turn the camera on, there's a delay in that.
Tell us what you're doing, sir.
This is me arriving at 11/4/34 Golden View. And at this point, I'm going to approach the front door. K96, 297. I rung the doorbell at this point.
The present of the driver, are those the same vehicles that are present?
Yes, sir. This is where I'm going to the side of the residence to try to check the back.
There may be a Katie Harold. I'll call the alarm company and verify.
I rung the doorbell again and just waiting to see if I get a response.
Next, I'd like to publish a portion of the rear door with rest of the report. Just for clarification, is this your second visit to the residence?
With if that's the video with Detective McCord, we will climb that fence.
So when you say that the doorknob is missing or absent from the rear door, is that depicted in the screen, sir?
Yes, sir. Detective McCord is actually looking through where the doorknob is missing at this point.
Here's the deal. They said they purchased a house in Johnson City, so hopefully he'll have information on it.
They're saying Robinson, the neighbors.
And the realtor's saying Johnson City.
It's relatively close, yeah.
You got what? That doggy door? Yeah, they're supposed to be out. See, the hound dog's not out, the hound dog's not watching, all their cars are here. Okay.
It's I mean, when I break back over, when you get over. Oops, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No. No, one's good.
Ooh. Thanks for being here, sir.
You hung. I'm going back off for a minute.
At this point, when you enter into the residence,
Yes, after this takes place, we do make entry into the residence.
tell us what kind of went on.
It appears that Officer Graves had went into one of the guy's vehicle. I couldn't tell what he was doing at that point, but the garage door does open.
And here we go.
There's Don Walker now. Strong shit.
I hear dogs are howling.
Knox County Sheriff's Office! Police! Police Department, Sheriff's Office! Knox County Sheriff's Office! Sheriff's Office!
Yes, sir.
I got the gun. Out here. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Clear. Knox County Sheriff's Office! Back everybody out. That's blood, right? Everybody
Looks like it.
that blood or boo-boo?
It looks like blood.
Anybody got gloves on?
Yeah, I'm not close.
Knox County Sheriff's Office! We're here to check your welfare! And then just drop that. Knox County Sheriff's Office!
We got one, probably one down here too, Jay. I'm going right, Benji.
And that's where I noticed the hands at the end of the hallway.
This room's clear. Hold up.
Oh my God.
You good, Jeremy?
Back out.
We got clear. Go. I'm going across. Got you. Clear. This door says where dog is. Nice. People's hands? Yeah, I think so. That's what I think. That's what it looks like.
It's your fucking hand. Get out now.
I ain't cleared. We're not cleared yet. There's blood all over it, though. You want to?
Can't back out. Everybody back out.
We need to start.
No,
A lot of. What do you got here?
Everything else ready. You don't want to go. Everything else ready. I'll get on that. Don't call anybody yet. I don't need shit blown up yet. I'll get on that. Back out. After the garage, same way we came in, don't touch nothing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I believe that's all we like to close from this portion.
The entire, General Sanchez, then rest of that video is in, correct?
It is in.
Okay. Thank
The events you testified to today, sir, did they occur here in Knox County?
Yes, sir, it did.
Pass witness.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You said that when you first went out, you did not put your face up to the glass. It's an officer safety issue.
Yes, sir.
Is there a fear of what could be on the other side of the glass, or someone see you peering in and react?
This is what
Absolutely.
you're clarifying?
Okay. Is there a policy as to that, or is that just training, or?
I don't think there's a policy. I believe that's just training.
Okay. But then I think you indicated one of the officers did do that. Is that right?
Yes, sir, after numerous other officers were on the scene.
Okay. And after the door had been knocked on several times,
Yes,
the
sir.
doorbell rung.
Yes, sir.
Now, at the back, after you've jumped the fence and Officer McCord's gone up and looked into the hole, he does not tell you anything about what he sees or experiences.
I don't recall.
Okay, it's not on the tape where he says, "Oh, I feel a lot of heat,"
Yeah, I don't recall that he told me that.
and he doesn't say anything on the tape about smelling a chemical smell.
I don't recall him telling me that.
In fact, it looks like after he goes to a side window and looks in, does he say the word nothing?
I believe I heard someone say nothing.
And then when you, was it you who tried the doggy door?
Yes, sir, it was me.
It was locked,
Yes, sir, it was.
but there was no other useful information from the door?
Other than it being locked and no one crawled through it.
Okay. Now, the inside garage door, was that after the big car door opened, the inside door, that was closed, appeared to be closed?
It was pulled to, yes, sir.
And Detective McCord either pushed it open or opened the, do you know which?
Yeah, I just know he pushed the door open, sir.
Okay. And you only went in the house the one time?
Yes, sir.
And it turned out there was not a suspect or anyone alive in the house?
No, no, sir.
Now, you said you talked to neighbors and someone saw a light on at 6:30, a bathroom light?
Yes, sir.
1 second, Your Honor. That's all, Your Honor. Thank you.
Just very briefly, Mr. Hoffman asked you that it turns out there was no suspects in the house. Let me ask you, back on November 28th, 2016, did you know whether or not anyone was in the rooms that you hadn't cleared?
No, sir, I had no idea.
Anything else, Mr. Austin? Thank you, Detective. You may step down. Next witness.
Can we call Sandy Campbell?
All right, that's a good spot to stop tonight. Sandra Campbell is going to be up next, and she is the forensic unit, part of the forensic unit for the Knox County Sheriff's Office. Ooh, why, hello, Switzerland. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for popping in and saying hi. Good to see you. All right. So thank you so much for hanging in there. Boy, it looks like my my connection got better. Oh, nope, it's leaving now. Who knows? I quit. It doesn't matter anymore. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. Thanks to everybody for the super chats and for all the kind words and fantastic job on the quiz as well. If you miss some stuff, you can always go back, hit the replay. That would be great. Thanks to Shireen for letting me know about the witnesses, and also the blinky lights on the videos. Thank you to the mods. Working overtime tonight. And thanks to the bailiffs as well. Thanks to Brandi, as always. And thank you to all of you. Thanks for being here. We will be back on Monday with the forensic, with the member of forensics. And yeah, hold on tight, because Conspiracy in Canton is going to be episode 3 is coming out soon. So I will hit this before I forget, as always. Court's adjourned. And as I always say, take care of yourself, take care of your friends and family. Don't forget to smile. As Pantoufle says, don't let anybody dull your sparkle. And shine on. Shine on, you crazy diamonds. I will see you Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.